What's going on, guys? It's DigiWatch coming to you with another deck profile. Today we're going to be going over a deck for the Mervamon loop, but this is going to be a specific profile for the Beelzemon Cup. Now, if you don't know, the Beelzemon Cup is coming out this next weekend, I believe. Sorry, the camera's kind of going in and out. I apologize for that for anyone watching. But yeah, we have the Beelzemon Cup coming up this week, and this is just for that specific type of event. So don't use this for an Ultimate Cup. There are some cards that may get you disqualified if you were to use them in this deck. And then obviously you can decide whether or not you want to play this in an actual tournament. Now this deck was somewhat inspired by I forgot his name, but he came in top 32 of the Nationals. He did a deck profile. I believe you can go to Taste the Victories channel because I believe he did an interview with him, and you can see some of his more rationale for some of the tech choices in there. But this is based on his build, and I did make some changes that I thought are more, for me, make me feel more comfortable. So with that said, let us begin, and obviously like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below. So for Mervamon, I'm not going to spend any more time on this. You know what it does. Draw one, trash one. You want to draw and you want to trash. That is what you want to do in this deck. So let's go to the rookies. So for the rookies, we were playing Ignitemon. Now, if you see Ignitemon, obviously you know what's coming later in the deck profile. The Ignitemon here is really, really good, though, and it's very important, too, because you do play a lot of cards in this deck by effects, and if you do have an Ignitemon that is not part of a stack that gets deleted, you will be able to gain memory, or you can even use its his regular effect of promoting out and being able to attack and delete one of your Digimon to delete one of their Digimon. And I do think that 4 copies is good because you do want to see this, and it's a card that it's okay to like trash to your trash because you do want to bring it back with or digicross with it with Mervamon. So you could have it in hand, you could have it in trash or on field. It doesn't really matter. So 4 copies of that. We're also running 4 copies of Gabumon. This is the staple card. I don't really need to explain it too much. It's a draw 2, trash 1. I do like the on deletion effect of this because you do delete your own guys a lot of the time. So being able to draw 2, trash 1 just lets you cycle better and can fill up your trash a lot more. In terms of our attacks, we're running 1 Gazi, 1 Psych, and 1 Devimon. Tongue twister here. But main reasons for this is memory on plays like Death X, and Mervamon is actually a retaliation and regular retaliation rookie that you can bring back with Mervamon, which you'll see later in this deck profile. But the only thing to keep in mind about this card specifically is that you cannot attack your opponent's Digimon with this card, so you can't kind of kamikaze this into the one of their guys. But unless you have a Myosmon in your deck. Which you may see some decks, and keep in mind a lot of people are playing purple, so like the things I think about is that Psychmon is going to be a very big important card to put in your trash, or like have in your hand depending on the situation. Gazimon is going to be good because if you're playing against stuff like Cerberus Loop or something like that, then it will be able to hold off on them. Mervamon is retaliation, but these cards are mainly for your like decisive plays. This is basically overall a toolbox deck, so you do want to think about that in terms of how you are building this. So let me just move this over here. We'll put the rookies right here. So now going into our champion lineup, we have 4 copies of Scatter Mode here. Not much to say about this card. You want to cycle in your deck, and still being able to draw 3 and trash 2 is good. Yeah, it sucks when you swing into security and there's nothing there, like a tamer or something like that, and it technically has jamming in that sense. But when you delete it with like an ultimate stack of this, Gaumon and Mervamon, then you are able to basically put like something like 7-8 cards in your trash right off the bat. So I do think that this is mandatory. And then, as of course, Eismon has to be in this because you are drawing and trashing so much in your deck that it really is important to have a card like this in your deck so that you can kind of go on, and you can always like have this in raising, swing, play this card out, and then be able to digivolve into Cerberusmon or whatever you're going to do, and then be able to play the werewolf mode and do multiple shenanigans. We are playing 2 copies of Dark Lizardmon. Dark Lizardmon is a card that was just released in BT11. I do think that it could go up to 3, possibly. I don't know what I would cut. But you do want retaliations in your trash. So this is a card I'd rather have in my trash earlier in the game. So don't feel bad if you have to swing into your security or swing into your Digimon to get rid of it, because it does have retaliation. It's a draw 1, trash 1 on deletion. So I do like that card. We are playing 1 copy of Devimon. The reason for this is mainly because there are times where you may have an opponent that has a level 6 on their field, and maybe they're going to do something like Death X you, where they're hard playing it or they're digivolving on top of one of their guys. The problem with that will become that if you have a Mervamon on field, which usually gives you a Cross Hearts retaliation blocker, and it gets digivolved, then basically you kind of lose. Honestly, that's what happens with it. But if you have the Devimon here, then at the very least you have a blocker that doesn't go away. Or if Mervamon just gets deleted. I know I just said Death X, but Death X actually would get rid of the level 4s. So anyway, and then lastly, just as us, again, inspired by the guy who went top 32, is the Genkaku Promote package. Earlier in the game, if you do draw into these guys, just use them as digivolving fodder, gets you a level 5. Or late game, of course, you want these in the trash, or if you're going to discard them and you have a lot of level 4s in your hand, it's fine. Just put them in the trash, because you do want this promote also sometimes in the trash. Sometimes a good play could be Eismon to the field, and then you digivolve with the promote and swing and do rush. Then you Mervamon, promote this back, and then because it still gains its on play effect, you'd be able to put these guys underneath him, so he gets both their effects for the remainder of the turns and such. Again, the inherits are really good here. If you don't know what the inherits are, basically, one is when you make an attack, you can delete one of their level 3 Digimon, which can get rid of floodgates. And then Genkakumon is when you trash a card from your hand. By an effect, you get to gain 1. And then, of course, this is Rush. And this is important for one of the other cards we'll talk about in a moment. So that is our level 4 lineup. It is basically a toolbox type of deck, as I mentioned before. Going into our level 5s, not much really to discuss here. We have 3 Cerberusmon and 3 Werewolf mode and 1 Chaos mode. The reason for this is because obviously Cerberusmon Loop is a thing, and you can technically digivolve this onto a level 4 that you just played, and it gains Rush. And then, of course, if you have this in Raising, you can play this from that effect. Draw 2, trash 1. I think 3 is fine, because you do draw, again, a lot in this deck, and you either want a few of these in your trash or a few of these in your hand. I mean, like, either you just have to tailor your plays to what you're doing. So basically that is that. And then obviously Chaos mode, because you can get rid of problematic cards. There are a few cards here bring back Chaos mode and keep it on play. So I do think 1 copy is totally fine to play in this deck. So we are running the 5s. Going into the 6s. Now this is, as I mentioned, that's not 6s, this is 6s. As I mentioned before, this is a toolbox type of deck. You are going to be having a bunch of other decks that are purple decks, which I think, personally, the most popular ones I could think of are going to be the Mervamon loop you're seeing here. You're going to be seeing Beelzemon, Beelzemon. You're going to see Beelstarmon. You're going to see a lot of those decks, and you're going to see maybe even like a Mastamon or like kind of like a Ophanimon type of deck maybe. But basically you want to counter a lot of their techs, or you want to like adapt your play style. So keeping your level 6s in hand and knowing what you are placing at the end is very important. So I'll talk about it a little bit more, but we are playing 3 copies of Mervamon here. As you know, on play, you can digicross and ignite from your trash as well. If you need to, you don't have to. You could digivolve or on play it. But most people will unplay it because you get 2 back instead of 1 if you are using the effect. And you bring back 2 Digimon with Cross Hearts in their traits, or Retaliation, or 2 level 4s. And then if they have Retaliation, they gain Rush and Blocker. sometimes you may actually just want to digivolve this, so you get like an extra swing, because you could digivolve this, bring out the promote, and then attack with that if you really wanted to, or Minervamon. So sometimes you want at least one copy in your trash. Good thing to think about also is that if you know that they haven't played a Death X against you yet, maybe digivolving on top or crossing with another Mervamon is something you want to do, so that if it does get digivolved, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lose. So just keep that in mind. We are running 2 copies of Minervamon. Now this could change. Oops, sorry, little spoiler. 2 copies of Minervamon. I might go up to 3 honestly on this though. Minervamon is a really good card on both your turn and your opponent's turn. It's retaliation on both turns. On your opponent's turn, if your opponent were to play something like hard play of Searcher or something like that, then you could play a level 4 or lower Digimon from your trash to the field, which is really good, and it does help promote both this and the Minervamon. Sorry, Mervamon. I would never get the names right the first time. But yeah, the main reason we're playing this is because the on deletion effect is really good. If your opponent has 2 or less Digimon in play, you can bring back a Digimon, level 5 Digimon, and it keeps its on play effects, which is really good. But it also can actually get you a Mervamon from your trash as well, which is the cheat way of getting this out. And that is actually the way you do want to utilize its effect if you're not going for the werewolf package. So you do have options there. You have to just decide how can you close out the game. And I might put this to 3 because I am running a few other techs, which we'll talk about in a moment now. So we are running 1 copy of Lilithmon. This is a really interesting tech in this because you do play a lot of options, and being able to revive back options is actually very important in this deck. So I do think maybe running this at 1 is totally fine. Even if it gets trashed or sent to the grave, try another effect. You can always bring it back with something like Matt or Calling from the Darkness, whatever you want to do. So we are running that, and something to keep in mind is that like Lilithmon is kind of crazy sometimes. You can bring back Werewolf mode, or play the Werewolf mode, attack with Werewolf mode. If it survives, you digivolve into Lilithmon, you get back maybe some Jack Raids or something like that. You play Jack Raids, or you play like Revive from the Darkness or something like that. And you can just continuously loop because you gain 2 memory. Jack Raid would give you obviously more memory. So that is something to keep in mind. We are playing 1 copy of Mastamon. Mastamon is really good because it will close out the game. But the only problem is it is forked to digivolve on. And I do think that is a slight problem in this deck. And sometimes memory is a big problem to be able to bring something back. And keep it your turn is a little bit of a problem. So I do like the 3 cost. So I might cut this for another Minervamon. And then 1 copy of Creepymon. This is your other win con, of course, because Creepymon is one of those Digimon that is crazy good in purple decks because it gives you another out. Obviously, you're filling your trash very, very quickly, and being able to digivolve this basically either on your turn or your opponent's turn. On your turn, if you have something in raising or doing the werewolf mode, you'll at least get back a level 5 from your trash, which could be the chaos mode, it could be werewolf mode, or whatever piece you're missing, or a level 4 or lower. And then, of course, your additional win con is swinging and making your opponent mill cards to their trash. Just be careful because you are going to be playing other purple decks, and they obviously like to fill up their trash as well. So know what you're playing against. If you're playing something like a lot of security control, like purple-yellow security control, this is a very good card because it does get rid of a bunch of their recovery cards or deletion cards. So that is something to keep in mind with Creepymon here. But yeah, that is our level 6s. Ratios I'm still testing on, but I do think that this is very close to what I want it to be. Finishing up, we're going to go really quickly here. We're playing 2 Sora, Mimis, and 1 Matt. Matt is your memory tamer. Obviously, I said memory is very important, so keeping Matt early in the game is very important so you can facilitate more of your plays. Make sure that you're not getting choked at 1 or 2 memory. Sora and Mimi is actually really bonkers in this deck. I've never really played this card when it was like first came out, but being able to either force your opponent to keep their card in raising, otherwise they may give you extra memory, or promoting out, or not digivolving. It's kind of crazy with the mind games this card causes. Additionally, it does get you additional draw and trash with its when you attack with a purple Digimon, then you get to draw and trash a card. I think this is totally fine. in terms of the tamers. And now we're going to go to the options. Now, the options are pretty much whatever you feel like your locals plays or your players play. But again, this is a toolbox type of deck, so I'm really thinking outside the box with this. Calling from the Darkness, speaking of that. But yeah, Calling from the Darkness and one Deathclaw. These are pretty mandatory in most purple decks. Get rid of Floodgate cards, or maybe if they just have like a card that they're about to swing for game. This is still a very good card. I'm only playing one Miss Memory Boost, but this might change, honestly. I might put a second one in, but I do feel like a lot of people are going to be playing memory blockers, and I don't want to invest too many cards in this card. I do think that this or the Purple Memory Boost are good cards, but I do not want to rely on like the option card for mainly what I know is the meta, and a lot of people are going to be probably putting in Beelzemon, so this is not going to do too much. There is a card that kind of contradicts what I just said in a moment, but yeah, that one I wanted to just mention. We are running 3 copies Jack Raid. The reason I do this is mainly because Jack Raid is going to be how you facilitate, and if you more and more plays, if you unfortunately like are losing to your opponent or something like that, and they're quicker than you and they can get like a Gazimon or multiple Gazimons, then just try to focus on, okay, maybe I play Deathclaw, kill their guy, or I play one of these guys here that has retaliation, or the Genkaku promote combo, like whatever the case might be. You do want to pop their guys, and then you play Jack Raid and just make sure you are utilizing it at the right time. They might even, like, once you play this and they're like, oh, well, he just played Jack Raid, there's no reason to bring Gazimon back up. And then you Lilithmon, bring back 2 Jack Raids, and like just cycle back. Finally, with our last few cards, we are playing 1 Pandemonium Flame. This card is really good because you are able to delete bigger boys, and sometimes you don't need like a chaos mode on the field anymore because your opponent's doing whatever in whatever, but Pandemonium Flame does do that. But more importantly, this can delete your own Mervamon, bringing back a Mervamon from your trash and facilitating more swings into your opponent's security. So we're doing that, and then we're running 2 copies of Revive from the Darkness, which is basically the same thing. Like, this is just for Cerberusmon loop, this is more for that, and I might, like I said, I might make some changes. The last card we are playing is Dead or Alive. Now, Dead or Alive is obviously like a big security bomb because it could bring back something your opponent's not suspecting. Maybe you have you evolve Cerberusmon in your area, your battle area, and your opponent swings a security, hits a Dead or Alive, brings back Werewolf mode, and all of a sudden the end of their turn has come. Or it brings back Chaos mode. But this I think is a one of. But again, I'm still working on a few ratios. This is generally what I'm going with right now. But I do think that I might change up a few of the cards here to make a little bit more consistency. For example, I could definitely cut a Jack Raid, put in a Pandemonium Flame if I want to have more removal. I have a suspicion that a lot of people are going to play Gazimon as their rookie, so I do think that this card will get a bit hit, and if you draw into it on your final turn, you kind of get screwed if they have a Gazimon and you need extra memory. So that is something to keep in mind. So that's all I have for the deck profile today. I wanted to thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay classy.